Howdy y'all, welcome back, thank you for being here. Let's get right into today's video, the ancient city of Avignon. Located on the left bank of the River Rhone in France, this immensely built yet seldom discussed French landscape has a very important history. It was home to the Papacy for many years after the Pope was forced out of Rome, and furthermore, is considered to be France's fastest growing urban area. However, when we study the ancient structures and engage with the first photographs of this massive city, as we will do today, what we discover is a multitude of unique creations which only validate the opinion that Avignon was one of many free fortified cities in the shape of a star, known as a star fort. Avignon has been occupied since Neolithic times, as indicated by multiple excavations, including the 1960 discovery of an ancient stele in the shape of an animalistic tombstone. On the bottom of said stele was an 8-sided sun, a unique solar representation tying the site to the late Copper or early Bronze Age. Further discoveries around Avignon, including multiple polished greenstone axes, a characteristic common of the Copper Age, indicate to historians the shepherds of the plateau called Avignon home. The name Avignon is considered Celtic. Avignon can be interpreted to mean either city of violent winds or lord of the windy river. Other sources add that the name may also be a form of Gaelic, meaning the windy marsh. Avignon was said to be founded as a Greek emporium by settlers from Marseille. The main components of the early city of Avignon were the fortifications built upon the large rock that the city lays on top of. Ancient Avignon was captured by Roman legions in 120 BC, quickly becoming part of the growing Roman Empire. By the 3rd century, we're told the Roman architects had constructed a bridge over the River Rhone, linking Avignon to the right bank. Nearly the entirety of the city was contained within ancient fortified Roman walls. The first bishop of Avignon was announced in the year 439, marking the Christianization of this Roman colony. By 472, Avignon was heavily attacked by Goths, then sacked completely by the Burgundians. In the year 500, we're told the king of the Franks, Clovis, attacked the Burgundians in Lyon. The Burgundians fled to Avignon, and Clovis and the Franks are said to have then laid near complete waste to Avignon in the following siege. Avignon was saved when the Burgundians were joined by the Roman army of General Aurelius. Eventually, after a series of invasions, Avignon was ceded to the Ostrogoths and then further divided under order of Roman Emperor Justinian I from his seat in Constantinople. We're also told that despite numerous invasions and control of this landscape-changing hands, Avignon flourished as an intellectual powerhouse within Europe. Throughout the 6th century, Avignon was said to have a sort of golden age, a heightened period of peace and prosperity. This ended with the Franks retaking Avignon in 612. From roughly 650 through the following 200 years after that, there was no bishop in Avignon. In 734, Avignon was conquered by the Saracens and then completely destroyed by the Franks in 737. The following century was full of turmoil, which was finally put to an end by a centralized government being put in place in 879. In 890, the bridge across the Rhone was rebuilt and made to be permanent. In 907, the first mention of the cathedral in Avignon occurs. The cathedral is said to be dedicated to Saint Mary. By 1032, Conrad II inherits the kingdom of Burgundy. The Rhone was now a border that could only be crossed on the old bridge at Avignon. Avignon at this time was considered property of the Holy Roman Empire. After Charlemagne took control of the empire, Avignon came within the kingdom of Burgundy and was ruled by its counts. With the German rulers at a distance, Avignon set up an autonomous administration with the creation of a consulate, one of the first in Europe, in the year 1129. At the end of the 12th century, Avignon declared itself an independent republic. In 1226, the citizens refused to open the gates of Avignon to King Louis VIII of France. Louis and his Holy Roman soldiers advanced, and on the evening of June the 9th, they marched, beginning a 3-month siege of the city, officially ending on September the 12th. Avignon was captured, the walls torn down, and the moat was filled. Avignon remained flooded for many years, experiencing uncontrollable flooding at least a handful of times per year. The University of Avignon was founded by the Papacy in 1303, flourishing as one of France's most important colleges until the French Revolution. From March the 9th, 1309 until January 13th, 1377, Avignon, rather than Rome, was the seat of the Papacy. This occurred under Pope Clement V. Clement VI would go on to officially purchase the city of Avignon from Joanna I of Naples on June 9, 1348. Now take this with a grain of salt, but also in 1348, the bubonic plague struck Avignon, causing over 2/3 of the entire population to pass and thousands of others to relocate. After this, the massive walls of Avignon were renovated, rebuilt, and enhanced. The papal library in Avignon was the largest in Europe in the 14th century, with 2,000 volumes or more. In all, 7 popes and 2 anti-popes resided in Avignon. The anti-pope essentially came about from the Great Schism, where many in the papacy wanted to return to Rome, while others wanted to remain in Avignon. The walls were built by the popes in the years immediately following the acquisition of Avignon as papal territory, and they are well preserved today. Interestingly, we're told the popes were followed to Avignon by the major bankers of Italy, the mostly non-Christian families who for centuries funded both sides of many conflicts. The papacy seemed to disregard this behavior. The banking families of Italy lived in Avignon's most prosperous quarter, which became known as the Exchange. At the beginning of the 18th century, the streets of Avignon were narrow and winding, but buildings changed and houses gradually replaced the old ancient buildings. Avignon remained tied to the papacy until well into the French Revolution. On May 30th, 1814, the French annexed Avignon, and it was recognized by the Pope. In 1856, a major flood was said to have destroyed large parts of Avignon, yet the city, per usual, was rebuilt. The last major aspect of Avignon that I wanted to point out, but I wasn't able to find any photographs of, we're told by 1898, Avignon had an electric tramway which ran throughout a majority of the city. Now, the 20th century saw significant development and urbanization in Avignon, mainly outside the ancient city walls, and several major projects emerged. Then, between 1920 and 1975, the population almost doubled, and the population is growing today even faster than it was back then. As we're told, basically Avignon is the fastest growing urban district in all of France. So to see what is going to happen in this city, to see all of the old world architecture, the ancient walls, and what will withstand what is to come, that is what I find to be really interesting about this. But I also wanted to share the oldest known photographs with you today, and I would love to hear what you think about them down below. If you're not, please consider subscribing to the channel. As always, we have hundreds of other videos with thousands of other old world photographs for you to check out, and I can't wait to talk to you on the next one.